we're going to make this pattern, which is the long and the short of it. It's a vest pattern by All Dunn Designs. We're going to make this out of a pashmina. And the reason why I'm going to make this out of a pashmina is because it sets really pretty. It's very soft, and it has a great drape on a pashmina. And I can also use the edges of the pashmina as the finish. So I don't have to finish my edges in the front or the back, and it makes it really fast. So I'm going to take my pattern, and there is a grain line on the pattern, as you can see, and I have added a grain line that's 45 degrees angle to this grain line, and that is on ruler, so it's real easy to lay it out and just make the grain line to go that way. And that's the reason I did that, is because you can't keep this on grain if you want to use this edge. You can't keep this on the straight grain. So this is actually going to be on the bias grain, this part of the drape, which will be very pretty actually. The other thing that I've done with my pattern is I've moved 1/2 inch from the edge. I have folded in the corner of the neck, front shoulder corner. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this part up with the fold, because that's exactly where the back is going to meet after I put the seam allowance in it. And then what I'm going to do is, as I lay this down, I'm going to shift this one way or the other to see how much I want the width to go. I'm actually going to add a little bit here, and I'm going to lose a little bit here, but it isn't going to make any difference, believe it or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, again, remember I told you the straight of the grain, it needs to be some grain, either 45 degrees or straight. And so I'm actually going to make this 45-degree angle match this. And you see I need to move this straighter, closer in here, so that these two will match. And because I'm losing more here, I'm going to shift this down just a little bit more. So I'm going to add a little bit more here, but I'm going to not lose so much down here. And it has to do with keeping that on the grain, because you could have issues of how this is gonna lay. Okay, so I think now I have it. Looks like it's right. Okay, so I'm gonna put my little weights down, and so now I also have the bottom here that is extra, and that's not going to be a problem. It just makes it just a little bit longer. I'm going to double check this, and then I'm going to weight this down. And then the only other thing I need to do is add to the side, because I don't really want a curve on this one, because I want the back to match, and so I want this to go straight. And so if you see here, this is the point of where the seam allowance stops, and then you break away from front to back, and you're going to have a vent, and the vent is actually rounded. I'm just going to tape. My tape is here, and I love this removable tape because you can take it away if you, as soon as you it'll remove off of this paper, and there's no residue, and you don't fight it. Okay, so basically what I want to do is, from that line right there, I want to go straight down, because I want a straight side. Okay, and I'm still going to make sure that I know that the back and the front are going to match up. That's really important. And so I'm just going to tape this, and then I will just cut that straight off and that'll be part of my pattern. And I'm not going to worry about that little gap right there because there's no problem with that. I'm going to use this as the finish. I'm going to use this as the finish, and I'm going to use this as the finish. Okay, so now on my back, I want to be sure that I have the right length on my back and also that I add the same amount. And so before I take this away, and by the way, I didn't mention that I doubled this. So this is actually folded in half, and I have also lined it up on the lines of my grid, so that when I cut, I'm going to be straight. I have this laid straight, and if you cut two different ones at the same time, you may end up forgetting that the front's the back, and which I asked me how I know that, because I did. And so you might want to just fold it in half. This doesn't wiggle. It's okay. The less that you move things around, the better. Okay, so I'm going to, before I cut this out, I'm going to compare the front and the back. And I'm just going to, well, I guess I could have cut this out, but I'm going to compare it. And then I'm going to add, I'm going to add this little point right here to the back, the same point, but my back is going to finish right at that point where this has stopped, so that my fringe will be right across here. So that's the one thing that I have to do is add these things to the back also, so that I know. I'm going to just lay this on so you can see. So I know that I have the exact same thing as the front. So I'm going to take this on here. I don't want to make it confusing. And so I'm going to add, this is my back, I'm going to add the same thing, but I'm going to come right here, that's the end. So I'm going to come across right here, and I'm going to fold up this pattern piece so that, and I'm keeping the bottom even, this part even, and I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to fold this up so that now I have, this bottom is going to end up coming across here. I'm going to be sure that you see this, because this is as important as what you did in the front for laying out. Okay, so now my back is going to be, I just don't want that, it's that line I want and not the other. Okay, so now my back, when I go ahead and put them together, after I cut them out, my back, the fringe will lay right there, and my back, bottom back will meet that little point. So I don't have to do anything to finish the bottom, back, sides, front. The only thing I need to do is put a seam in this, put the yoke on, and do these sleeve openings. And I think I'll come back and show you the layout for the front, for the back.